Hi, Steve Saylor here. I'm currently in my hotel room in San Francisco. I'm here for a couple of days of, R&R. But PlayStation just announced and put up a blog post of Marvel Spider-Man 2's accessibility and what will be in the game. Now, Insomniac has been known for the past few games to have a lot of accessibility in the game, in their games, from Ratchet and Clank. Even the original Spider-Man Remastered had some of the early accessibility wins back like when it came out, and it was sort of not with features that hadn't been seen at the time, like a QTE autocomplete, where basically anytime there's a QuickTime event, you could be able to just autocomplete it. That was kind of very rare at that time when Spider-Man came out. So I was very excited to see what Insomniac was going to do for accessibility, considering not only PlayStation's efforts with a lot, obviously with The Last of Us and obviously with previous Insomniac games, I'm in God of War. I'm very curious to see what Spider-Man 2 will have when it comes to accessibility. I will be doing a full Spider-Man 2 review. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a code to be able to review it relatively soon. But I just wanted to kind of go over the blog post. I apologize. This is sort of like a one-take kind of like iPhone video, but I'm literally like I don't have my equipment with me to be able to record anything. So, but basically, they are doing a lot of the same things that they have been doing in previous games, including a commitment into post-launch accessibility, which is both good and bad, and I'll get into that when I do. First off, they talk about in the blog about challenge level modifiers and gameplay assists. High action, exciting combat, as I'm reading from the blog, is a signature of our Marvel Spider-Man franchise. Whether you're going up against Kraven and his hunters or pursuing the Lizard through Marvel's New York, we included a variety of challenge levels in our earlier games in the franchise, friendly, amazing, etc., which is something that they've actually done like for difficulty, is that they kind of name their difficulties Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man. They kind of played around with that, which was really cool. And today we are excited to introduce challenge level modifiers, which let you customize the three aspects of gameplay: enemy health, enemy damage, and stealth awareness. With these settings, you can mix and match for your preferences or needs. And then they show a screenshot of the gameplay settings menu, and basically you can be able to not only change your difficulty at any given time, which is something they've been doing lately, but then again, you can be able to now customize that difficulty to however you like. If you find that stealth is a little bit too easy for you, you can increase the level of that, or vice versa. Same with increasing enemy damage or decreasing enemy damage, or enemy health, increasing it, decreasing enemy health, which is really cool. They've kind of started that with The Last of Us Part 2, with being able to customize, really fully customize your difficulty, which is something that I would love to be able to see more in games, is the customization of difficulties. Because sure, the easy, normal, hard is kind of known throughout the entire gaming landscape, but the problem is that when there are certain things that, oh man, I wish that this would be a little bit easier, or I wish that this would be a little bit harder because it's too easy. Difficulty is always relative when it comes to every player. Difficulty really doesn't exist. It's a whole other topic in and of itself, but because it's always dependent on the player itself, it's very unique to the player. So being able to customize that fully is really, really great to see. I'm looking at the screenshot as well. You can simplify puzzles if you need to, which seems to be that's something that they've done in previous Spider-Man games, where they have different puzzles. And they also had been introduced in previous games the ability to be able to auto-complete those puzzles for you. But it looks like they even went a step further and even simplified those puzzles, and you can be able to turn that on or off. You can be able to change the dodge parry timing, which is really cool. Just looking at that, you can be able to change it. The current is default. I don't know what default would necessarily be, but being able to dodge and parry quickly is very hard to do, especially in Spider-Man, where you are mashing those buttons a lot, especially in combat. So being able to adjust that timing is really great as well. Chase assist. Now they have a section on that, so I will get into that in a minute. Same with game speed, enhanced auto aim. That's something that's been in the Spider-Man games before, especially when it comes to aiming your sort of web shooters and stuff like that, more in combat specifically. They've had that before, so I'm really excited to be able to kind of, obviously play around with that a bit. But I want to talk about chase assist, because that's something that's They introduced the Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered, but I want to kind of highlight that is that, so obviously, you know, there are definitely things you can be able to, you can chase cars or chase vehicles in the city, and sometimes it can be hard to be able to kind of catch up and then having to hit triangle in order to be able to actually be able to take over that vehicle. So this feature works similarly in Marvel Spider-Man 2, reducing the target's top speed, increasing time windows before escaping, automatically attaching when a target is in range, and readjusting the camera to the target when you see R3. That's really cool, because that's something that, especially when you're swinging around New York, hard to be able to kind of keep the car in view or the vehicle in view. So being able to press R3 to kind of reorient the camera to that vehicle, that's really great. Rapid report, these features will return and work with both our swinging and our new web wing traversal system. That's great, especially with the new, like, you know, the new web wing, web wings, that's what they're calling it? I didn't even realize that. Anyway, so being able to, you know, glide, you can be able to use that, the chase assist. Obviously, QuickTime Event Autocomplete is back again, which is great. You can be able to adjust repeated button presses from taps to holds, and web shooter bursts are all returning to reduce motor fatigue and keep you in action. So, good thing is, a lot of accessibility in previous games. Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered are coming back, which is awesome. Now, this is something that's new to Spider-Man, and that's the shortcuts and game speed. Speaking of keeping you in the action, we couldn't have a new Insomniac game without including two things our team and the community love: shortcuts and game speed. This is something they did in Ratchet and Clank, which I was very happy about, spoke very highly of it in my review, and I love the fact that they're introducing that into Spider-Man 2. Our shortcuts will allow players to assign a variety of options to left or right D-pads, D-pad buttons. If you're having difficulty pressing multiple buttons at once, want a quick way to toggle your highest contrast gameplay options on or off, or even want to open photo mode with the press of a single button, you can assign these to left or right directional buttons for quick use during gameplay. And the game speed, which is something that, again, they introduced in Ratchet and Clank, is that they could be able to, you can change the game speed from 70%, 50%, and 30% of the real-time rate to the shortcut buttons. This allows you to slow down the action, giving you more time to react in multiple gameplay scenarios. One more time to react as surrounding hunter fists fly at your face, activate game speed. Are you battling against the lizard and need more time between button presses? Game speed can help. These are all on the blog post, by the way. Waiting for that picture-perfect moment to capture Spider-Man during an acrobatic swing? You guessed it, game speed's got your back. That's really great. Love to be able to see that. I can't wait for that, because that was something that, again, with Spider-Man that I also had trouble with, even going back recently to try the new deal or try the old DLC. I never really got a chance to play it. I would try to be able to get my, you know, my spidey senses going in combat, and my hands got tired. So it's great to see game speed is back. It gives me more time in combat, and you can adjust that speed as you need to, and it makes it a little bit more easier to be able to react to things, because you can be able to see more of the gameplay, see more of the combat, which is something that for me is perfect. But also as well, this is great for motor disabled players if you need a little bit extra time in order to be able to do certain combos or do certain combat button presses, or even just gameplay in of itself. If you need help with swinging through New York, this will definitely help out with that, obviously, as well. They also have audio frequency controls, so for those who are sensitive to higher or low frequencies, you can actually be able to change that. There's a high frequency cutoff, like high pitch ringing, and low frequency cutoff, like the bass of an explosion, or a custom setting with the notch frequency filter, so they can better enjoy Pete's classic quips as he thwips back a detonating grenade. That's cool. All right, that's good to see. Okay, they also have narrated ASL. That was something they had in Miles Morales, where they had, I can't remember the artist's name in the game, but there's the NPC that Miles talks to in sign language, and she signs back. So what they did was you can actually be able to turn on so that those narrations, those subtitles, are actually narrated as well, because they always just displayed it as just subtitles for whenever those ASL moments happen. But they had where you can be able to narrate the subtitles too, and it was narrated by I believe it was narrated by a deaf actor, voiceover actor as well, which was great. So glad to see that that's coming back in here. Obviously, let's see. Okay, that's frequency controls, and then they did talk about. So that's kind of really it that they wanted to highlight. But to see the full list of the accessibility features. Okay, so they got actually a full list. Let me go to that right now. I'm looking at this in real time. So let's see. We already talked about some of the gameplay settings. There's auto heal. When enabled, it'll if a full focus bar is available, use it to automatically heal when under the specific or the specified amount of health. That's great. Always had trouble trying to be able to remember to heal, and seeing that little progress bar of your health, hard to see at times. So that's great to be able to have that there. That's I believe relatively new. Swing assist. So they talked about this. Steering assistance. Higher values allow for easier web swinging, while lower values reduce the amount of resistance and cause physics to have a greater effect on web lines while swinging. So if you want a little bit more challenge with swinging like through New York, you can turn on steering assistance. Slow corner time scale, slow game speed during corner transitions to reduce disorientation when whipping around a corner at high speeds. I didn't realize actually that would definitely benefit those with motion sickness. So slow corner time scale, that's great. Webline blending, turn on and off the ability for web lines to blend while walking on them. Oh, okay. I wonder if that's okay. That definitely will help with stealth. I'm not sure what I think maybe that will be for if you're having trouble trying to see the enemies below. Maybe it's hard to tell just based on the description for me. But if you do know, let me know in the comments. Obviously, you can be able to invert controls. Vibrations, like this is something that the DualSense controllers are really great. Being able to, like, especially with Spider-Man, they, like with Miles Morales, they really actually like kind of, sorry, my lights are kind of like keep dimming in and off. So they basically the haptics were really, really good with Miles Morales. So like that was a really good showcase for the DualSense controller, especially when the PS5 kind of first came out, and that was a launch title. Experimental. This is interesting. All vibrations are enabled. Feel the thunderous impacts of villain attacks all the way to the moving electronic buzz of Miles's venom powers. This setting is designed to provide an engaging and immersive sensory experience, making player feel like they are truly embodying these iconic superheroes. Or there's also functional or none. That's interesting. Okay. So obviously, repeat button presses you can set to tap to hold. Continuous dodge. When enabled, hold dodge button to continuously dodge. That's interesting. So that you're not having to keep constantly tapping dodge, especially if if there's like any ranged attacks that are happening. Aim mode sets aim action to a toggle or a button hold. Swing parkour mode sets swinging and parkour to a toggle or a button hold. Air trick mode. Oh, set air tricks input to hold or toggle to perform air tricks while swinging on gliding. That's good. Web wings mode set to toggle. That's also good. Web shooter burst, okay. Vibration intensity, that's also great as well. Camera sensitivity, you can be able to adjust all of that. The volume, you can be able to pretty much adjust pretty much everything, including like the UI and stuff like that. And the controller speaker, narrated ASL, like I talked about. Voice boost, when enabled, dialogue in the game basically gets turned up a lot more than everything else. If you're having trouble to be able to hear the dialogue. Obviously subtitles, they have subtitle size, color, speaker color, background color, and background opacity, which is something they've done in the previous games, which is great. You can be able to turn off full screen effects such as damage vignettes, intense flashing effects, and effects that impact the entire screen will be removed. You can add a center dot. You can disable motion blur, film grain, cinematic aberration, depth of field. And then there's high contrast. They've done that with Miles Morales, but they also introduced that in Remastered, where basically you can be able to go in and have a ton of options for high contrast. You can adjust the colors and the background and all of that in between, as far as like being able to customize it fully to fit your needs, as far as like for anyone who's blind, low vision. And it looks like they're pretty much doing everything as great as well. The story critical shader applies a solid single color shader to key interactable elements to improve visibility. That actually could be cool. If you could, like, so good thing is I think that you can be able to have a customized color. So I could be able to set story critical shader to like a color I would not even use in high contrast mode. So I know, okay, if there's anything in regards to the story I need to interact with and I'm having trouble trying to find it, I could just look for that color and I know, okay, that's where I need to go. That's going to be really cool. I love being able to see that. Collectible shader as well as combat interactable shader. Spider sense you can be able to turn on, and perfect dodge, which is great. There are UI hints, you can be able to control hints. Lock mini map to the north. UI parallaxing, wishing waypoint display, emphasize text color, icon, and prompt size. Okay, that was something, again, that they introduced in the original Spider-Man's, or the remaster in Miles Morales. You can increase the icon size when you're in the open world. And then, yeah, the shortcuts. Basically, yeah, nothing really changes there. Basically, you can be able to, again, game speed, you can toggle high contrast, launch photo mode, combat traversal abilities and gadgets, symbiote surge, you can be able to set that. Oh, that's interesting, to the right and D-pad if you want as a shortcut. Mega Venom Blast, that's good. And then there's puzzle skips. Okay, so now let's get into that. They did talk about post-launch accessibility. Now, again, this is both good and bad. It sucks, essentially. The bad is essentially that it's not on launch. So we've got audio descriptions, screen reader, and captions are going to be available. But they did say the good is that it is going to be available in December. So unfortunately for blind players and for those who definitely aren't hearing that need full captions, we may have to wait until December in order to be able for that update to come out, because the audio descriptions, which they do say here, will also work in QuickTime events. That's something that has not been done before, I don't think, in any game. It's usually just cinematics if there is any audio descriptions. So looks like they're doing some stuff there. And they're working with Descriptive Video Works, which they've done work with The Last of Us. And it'll be available in English, French, German, Italian, Castilian Spanish, Latin American Spanish, and Japanese. Great. And then the screen reader also will work as well. Looks like it's kind of similar to to what's in The Last of Us, and then maybe with a little bit of differences there, because obviously the different gameplay. And then the full captions for off-screen and environmental sound effects. So again, it's sad that we have to wait. Disabled players have to wait 2 months for that update to come out. It's interesting they're giving a date to this, because normally these things are like, you don't know when the sort of post-launch updates happen, and hopefully this doesn't get delayed into 2024. But if they are committing to December 2023, I am excited about that. But it sucks essentially that as of launch, blind players who need audio descriptions and screen reader, like myself, won't be able to really fully get to play it. So that's, again, there's a lot of different sort of myriad reasons as to why that's not going to happen, due to technical issues, or just couldn't be able to get it into gold launch. This is the first time that they've ever really kind of fully said, okay, this is not coming at launch, but this is coming soon. I hope it's not delayed, because we're still technically waiting for Star Wars Jedi Survivor to have a screen reader added in, but they've had issues trying to be able to get the PC version to work, so that's what they've been focusing on. So we don't know when that's going to happen. And then they also have a section here on the blog post about the Access controller, and there's a video there. So I would definitely recommend checking out the blog post, because it looks like my good buds, Sam Sheffer, who works at Insomniac, he's this unsung hero of Sony, because he worked on The Last of Us, he worked on God of War Ragnarok, and now he's working on Spider-Man 2. So and he's now Game Award winning accessibility developer. So hopefully we'll go for a third for Spider-Man 2 this year, but we'll see. And then we got Paul Amadeus Lane, who helped consult on the Access controller, has a sort of a custom video for that. So, all right, so that looks like that's pretty much all the accessibility in Spider-Man 2. I know this is a long video, I apologize, and it's just me talking. But I think this is good. It looks like they're doing a lot of the same thing that they've done in the past, with a few new things based on the new gameplay for Spider-Man. I would love to be able to see what it feels like on hands-on, because again, accessibility options are great, but it's just only half the story. It depends on how it's sort of in the design. Now, there's not much that can be updated with the design, because they are technically using the same gameplay really from the first Spider-Man, which is a little bit older engine, but what they're able to add in over the past few iterations, it's been great to be able to see. So I'm excited to be able to try it out. We'll get more information obviously when Spider-Man 2 comes out. Again, hopefully I'll be able to get a code to be able to review it for you, and I'll give my full impressions then. But this is amazing. It's great to be able to see Sony, talking about this, and we'll have to see it when Spider-Man 2 comes out. I'm excited. All right, take care. Have a good one. And also, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Steve Saylor. I'm doing a ton of cool stuff there for accessibility, so go help support me there. Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great one, and I'll see you next time.